If you're feeling lost, unsure, and overwhelmed with your art marketing, stick around today because I'm going to be talking about social media. Hello and welcome. I am so happy you're here with me today to talk about social media and art marketing. Now, I'm going to be doing a series of different videos under the category of art marketing, and today's first video is all about social media. Look for some additional videos that I'll be doing that are going to be covering topics such as art festivals, gallery representation, commissions, and also pricing. Now, if one of those categories doesn't answer questions that you might have about art marketing, please leave me a comment down below and let me know what else you would like me to cover. All right, so let's get started with today, which is all about social media. I'm going to be sharing with you my experiences with social media, but let me tell you that there is so much information out there, and I'm only going to tell you what has worked for me and what I have experienced. I don't have all the information, I don't have all the answers, but I am certainly happy to share with you what I do know and what I have learned. Let's get started. I've got some notes pinned up in front of me here, so don't mind me when I look away to see what I wrote to keep me on track. I want to say, first of all, that social media is the best place to be seen today. And there is just so many platforms that you can be on. Certainly on Instagram, Facebook, there's TikTok, there's Pinterest, and also a lot of people don't think of YouTube as a social media platform, and it truly isn't, but I think they're starting to gear more towards being a bit more social. And I know for me personally, in my experiences, I've connected with a lot of folks on YouTube via the comments and the community board, so it is a great place to be as well. With all of those choices on social media, think about also other places that you can be. So I know today's topic is all about social media, but I don't want you to put all your eggs in one basket, both on social media and otherwise. So other places that you can be showing your art are art galleries, there are also art festivals, and then going back to social media or the internet, there are online art galleries that are available as well. So what I'm trying to say here is try not to just be in one place. For example, if you're only on Facebook, I encourage you to expand. If you're only on Instagram, please expand and be elsewhere as well. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. Okay, now it's overwhelming to think about being on all of those platforms, right? You don't need to be on all of those platforms. It is overwhelming. It's way too much, and if you're just getting started, even just one or two platforms is probably going to be more than enough. So I encourage you to just pick one or two that you think is going to work best for your type of art. For me personally, I am on Instagram and Facebook, but I'm also on Pinterest. Now, Facebook, I was on the early years. I signed up on Facebook very close to when they first launched. Then as I got very comfortable using Facebook over the years and I started doing my art, I created a business page on Facebook, and then I got comfortable using that business page. So that's something that I developed over the years. Now with Instagram, I kind of came to Instagram a little bit late in the game, but I was so happy that I had finally got on there, and that was in 2015, early 2015 that I got onto Instagram. And I have grown my Instagram to over 122,000 as of today. So it's very exciting and wonderful to have all those followers on Instagram, but let me tell you, it was a lot of work over the years, and it was showing up consistently to be able to grow my following. So I'll talk about some of the ways that I did that. Going back to picking different ones. So I'm also on Pinterest, and Pinterest has been great, but I'm not super active on Pinterest. I get on there and I will post some of my artwork on occasion, and I think I have a hard time with Pinterest because it's not a very social place to be. You pretty much just post your stuff and you go, and you look at other people's stuff and you repin their stuff. So I think That's probably one of my, I think that's probably why it's not one of my most favorite places to hang out. However, Pinterest is a really great place to put your stuff and know that it's being circulated over and over and over again, as opposed to Facebook or Instagram, where you post something and then that kind of starts dropping down in the feed further and further. But with Instagram, it could be resurfacing hundreds and hundreds of times. Even your oldest stuff can be resurfacing on a regular basis. So it is a great place to be, and there's a lot to learn there. So when it comes to all of these things, really one of the best ways to figure out how to use some of these platforms, if you're not familiar with them or if you're not familiar with a certain aspect about them, is to Google it. And most likely you're going to get YouTube videos that come up first. And us being artists and very visual people, I think YouTube is a great place to learn, because you can watch them do things on the screen step by step, which I absolutely love, and then you can implement that. So if you are lost or unsure about something and you want to learn about it, I would really recommend turning to YouTube first. All right, let me get back to my list here. So pick one or two of these places, like I said, where you're going to focus on and get comfortable. And once you focus on a couple of areas, then you can expand. So for example, if you are trying to build up your Instagram following and your page, you're trying to make it more robust and more attractive and more exciting, then just focus on Instagram for a while, because there truly is a lot to do on there and it can be overwhelming. So it kind of becomes this catch-22 where if you don't post, you're not getting the following that you want, but yet it can be overwhelming, and so you're not posting. So I would say take it one step at a time if you can. Getting back to my list. So top 3 things that I suggest doing on social media is, one of them being you've got to be social. Social media is about being social, and it's about interacting with folks and having people get to know you. Getting to know you, I think, is a really key part of being an artist, because folks are not just buying your art, but they are buying the person behind that art. They want to get to know you. They want to understand what you're all about. They want to know why you create the way you create. Yes, they even want to know what you're having for dinner. So being social is so important, and I know that that can be difficult for a lot of folks, but if you want to be out there and connect with folks, then taking those steps, even if they're just baby steps, take some baby steps towards being more social on there. When you are on social media, I think it's really important that you just don't post your artwork and say, here's my art, it's for sale, go to my website. That is not connecting with folks, and you want to connect, because what we have found is that when folks connect with you and they like you, then they start to trust you, and when they trust you, they buy from you. When you just post your art and you just say, here it is, and you don't tell me a story about it, or you don't tell me, or you don't show me yourself creating it, or anything like that, it's harder for me to connect to that art. Posting regularly is also important. Now, regularly doesn't mean you have to be posting every single day. Just post on a regular basis, because what you're going to find is the folks who are following you are expecting to see, when they get on there, they're expecting to see your artwork or something about you. So plan on posting on a regular basis. And then last item that I have for my top 3 list would be hashtags. Hashtags are so important because they help folks discover you and find you. Now, Instagram has changed things a little bit this past year or so, where they've got this home page or explore page where you can see a lot of things that maybe you would be interested in, that they're going to serve that up to you. But I still feel that hashtags are important, because folks can find more about you or more information. Like if you're using a hashtag like I use, which is abstract art, if I can be found there, then those are the kind of people who are looking for abstract art and have a good chance that they are going to find my art and want to follow me. So using hashtags is important. Now, how much time should I be spending on posting and interacting. This was a question that came up in the community post that I put out there. If you participated in that community post, thank you so much for taking my survey and then also adding some questions in there. I really appreciate it. So if you are trying to decide how much time you should spend posting and interacting with folks, I think it depends on how much time you actually have. If you are working full-time, you certainly don't have a lot of time because you've got a full-time job and you're doing art as a part-time job. So finding time maybe before you go to work or right when you get home from work. But really even more important is look at your analytics. Look at your Instagram analytics, look at your Facebook analytics, figure out or find out when are people mostly online and looking at your stuff. Ideally, you want to be posting during that time. It's going to be different for everybody. For example, I'm here in California and the folks who follow me are mostly across the US. So my best time to post is in the morning hours. So look at your own analytics and figure that out. And then also figure out, can you dedicate, if you're working at a full-time job and you're doing this part-time, excuse me. So look at your Google Analytics, and if you are working full-time and doing art part-time, figure out how much time you can dedicate to it. Now, if you're a full-time artist, I would truly recommend that you spend at least an hour or so during your best time to post and to also interact with the folks who are leaving comments on your posts. I think that's really important, especially right after you post. You want to be on there and you don't want to disappear immediately after you post. You want to start interacting with the comments and then also interacting on other folks whose posts that you follow. All right, so that covers kind of the how much time you should be spending. But let me briefly talk about also, as an artist, if you are doing art full-time, then I would hope that you are spending more than 50% of your time on running your art business. So that means marketing your art, running the back end of stuff, shipping stuff out, and certainly doing a lot of marketing. I would guess that I probably spend about 75% of my time on my business and running the business, and a lot less time on actually creating art. However, my time spent creating art is really quality time. I don't get into the studio every single day, but when I do, I've got this burst of energy and I feel this need to have to get everything out on my canvas or on my paper. So I feel that those sessions are super productive. All right, now let's talk about paying for ads and paying for posts. So over the years, I have purchased ads on Facebook so that I could reach out to more folks. And has that been successful for me? Sometimes it's hard for me to say because I don't do it on a regular basis. I might boost a post or I might do some ads for a short period of time and I'm not being consistent. And if you want to grow your audience and you want to get more folks in there, I think ads is a really great way to go, but I also believe that just showing up on a regular basis and interacting with folks is also a great way to go. So if you've got the money to invest in ads, do it. Go for it. Learn how to do some ads and get some ads running on a regular basis. Also boost some of the ads or some of the posts that you really like that you think is going to capture a bigger audience. You can just boost those. But really running ads is the better way to go. And there's a lot to learn in that process. So again, go to YouTube and I know that there's going to be some videos out there on how to do that. Now, the other thing that comes up if you're on Instagram, and you probably see this often, is you get an invitation to have one or more of your photos or your art posted on another page and you pay for that. There are hundreds of those available out there. Now, early on when they started doing this, which was several years ago, I participated in it. I paid for some of these, and what I learned in that process is that I should have done more research before, I don't want to say shelling out the big bucks because it wasn't big bucks, it was $5, $10, $15 a post, but before investing money into something like that, I should have done some research. And the research was this: I should have looked at that page that account, and I should have looked at what kind of other artists are they promoting. What I discovered was that some of the ones that I ended up paying for, they were actually promoting folks that did realism. So there were portrait artwork out there, and there was realism, and then sticking out like a sore thumb was my abstract art. So I didn't belong there, and I certainly wasn't going to get more followers who are interested in realism and portrait art and all these other things that had nothing to do with abstract art. So what I'm saying is, you can certainly, you know, pay to have your art on somebody else's page, but do some research and make sure that you're the right fit, and that's the best place for you. Okay, getting back to my list here. Your audience. So I've had folks talk to me or ask questions about, you know, how do you find your ideal audience? And I know that that takes some doing, is figuring out, sometimes like on Instagram, you don't have a whole lot of control over who's following you, right? But there is a way that you can try and reach out to folks that you want following you and who you want purchasing your art. And we talked about hashtags. That is one way to do that, is putting out hashtags where people are going to find you based on those hashtags. Now with hashtags, if you're like me, you probably use a lot of hashtags that are related to art, abstract expressionism, mixed media art, anything in that category. But I challenge you to look a bit further and try to find hashtags that are in the places where your audience would be. So recently, let me give you an example. Recently, I tried to shake up my hashtags a little bit, and what I did was I put in hashtags such as Nordstrom, or I put in Whole Foods, because those are folks who have a little bit more money, and I was trying to get folks to purchase some of my larger art. So I was trying to find an audience of folks that would be willing to purchase larger pieces as opposed to my smaller pieces. And so I was trying to come up with, look up different hashtags where those folks might be hanging out. Another area of hashtags that you can do is around home decorating, interiors, things of that nature. So give that a try and shake up those hashtags a little bit. Now I've always done, and I think I talked about doing 30 hashtags in the past. You can do 30, you're allowed up to 30, but recently I found out that having like somewhere between 9 and 12 was better. So I'm kind of shaking mine up and doing between 30 or bringing them down to a lot fewer, and see how that goes. Always trying something new, always learning. Okay, let's move on to another way. Let me go back to your audience. And one comment that I often hear is that, well, my audience is made up of all of these artists who are following me. And how am I going to, you know, what am I supposed to do with a bunch of artists who are following me? I totally understand that, because the majority of my followers are artists. And a lot of them are artists who are just getting started, who are learning, who are looking for inspiration from other artists. You know, I certainly do that myself. I'm always looking at other artists and getting inspired. So it makes total sense that I've got a bunch of artists following me as well. So a few years ago, this light kind of went off in my head, because I was trying to think of what am I going to do with this audience of folks who are following me who are artists. And so my light bulb moment was, well, I'm going to share with them what I know, because they're just getting started, and I was once at that point where I was just getting started and I was trying to absorb as much as I could and learn as much as I could. So I decided that I was going to cater to that audience. So I do have an audience that likes to purchase my larger pieces, but I also have this audience that likes to learn, and they're just getting started, so they want to know about supplies, they want to know about techniques, they want to know how to create, but they also want to purchase art that they can afford. And so I switched to smaller art. So this is an 8x8, but I also do 5x7, I do 9x12, so I do a variety of smaller pieces on paper. Paper is much more affordable than the large canvas art. So That's how I am catering to my audience. And so if you've got a number of other artists who are following you, figure out how you want to do something for them, because they're there and you can certainly cater to that audience as well. All right. Now, the next area I want to talk about is one that I do every single day, and that is you've got to be willing to learn and grow and research. And that's something that I don't think there's a day that goes by that I'm not looking at YouTube videos to learn something, or reading an article, or listening to podcasts, and I'm constantly in this learning mode. In the past, I've read books on marketing my art. I've also, I haven't done this, I haven't done a course, but courses are out there as well. If you're in a position where you're just so lost that you need guidance. You know, learning is different for everybody, and some folks love the step-by-step, do this, then do that. Other folks go out and do their own research and just figure out what is going to work for them and how to implement that. So you've got to go out there and do what works for you, but please be open to learning and have that willingness to jump out there and jump into something and start learning something. Even if it's just one thing a week. I'm not saying you have to do this every single day, but take one topic and do some research on it and see how you can implement that towards your own art marketing business. All right, so let's do a recap here. First thing I talked about is that there are many different ways that folks can find you, social media being one of them, and a variety of different ways of being found on social media. And then posting regularly, and again, it doesn't have to be every day, but your audience that is following you is expecting to see something from you, so post on a regular basis. I've got a top 10 list of things that have worked for me, and I'm going to make this available in a link down below. It is free, very simple. There's nothing fancy about my list, but I've been using it for years and I still continue to use it, and it works for me. And I want to give this list to you to use as well. You don't have to give me your email address or anything like that, but certainly if you would like to be on my email list, I would absolutely welcome that. All right, and then we talked about dedicating some time to your marketing and figure out what that works with you based on your own schedule, and having that time set aside so that you know that you're going to be spending that time marketing yourself. And last but not least, we talked about educating yourself and learning as much as you can about what you want to be doing and where you want to be going. All right, folks, thank you so much for being here. If I missed anything, please leave a comment down below. I am happy to answer questions, and I will be honest with you. I'm telling you all this based on my own experience, but if there's something that I don't know, I'll be honest and tell you that I don't know the answer to that, but feel free to ask me those questions. Please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm going to be doing 4 more in this series that I will be uploading over the next several weeks, so look for those. Hit the subscribe button, and then also there's a bell. So YouTube's kind of funny. They've got the like, the subscribe, and then the bell. The bell will alert you when I have a new video that I've uploaded. So I hope that you'll hit the bell as well, and I am looking forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, take care.